The war was fought because people did not want to lose other human beings being considered their property. I just want to make it really clear that there's plenty of people who like to talk as if the Civil War in the United States had some other legal reason. No. And even after it changed, when you look at the sharecropping or when you look at U.S. prisons, the United States still has an inherently racist system. I'm going to give some credit to Opal Lee. She was the grassroots face of a campaign to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. So you were going to tie the dragon boats.
Yes, I was going to. You're welcome, everybody. Dragon Boat Festival. Upon a time, there was a poet and statesman living in China, and his name was Ku Yuan. He was so distraught that he threw himself into the Yangtze River and he died. So, you're asking, what does this have to do with dragon boats? Well, I'm going to tell you.
Hello and welcome to KTVG Studio. There is a countdown that we get before, like when Katie hits record, and it reminds me of the Electric Company. I believe it was the Electric Company. It might have been Sesame Street.
I used to watch that.
Where they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So countdown clock is a little bit like that, part of that little snippet. So today we are discussing Juneteenth, which I did not actually know this, did not become a federally recognized holiday until like 2021. So we're talking in the current decade, within the 21st century. Though I did just see a thing that was reminding folks, slavery in what is now the United States started in 1619 and went to, let's keep it real, 1865. And actually in Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, it was not done until 1873. Then you had segregation until, I know they like to say it was earlier, but I'm going to give you 1965. Even if, some of the stuff was passed earlier. And even in 65, it was a little iffy because I remember hearing about a prom somewhere that was still segregated in this century. But we really wanted to talk about it because it is an important commemoration of history in the country that we live in. Yep. Katie, did you have something in mind that you wanted to cover in regards to it?
Well, I really was interested in this topic because I know nothing about Juneteenth at all. And so I saw like a thing on the calendar that it's on June 19th, and I thought this is a great opportunity selfishly for me to delve into the history of it, which I did. And I also want to call out June 19th this year is also Dragon Boat Festival. So I'm going to give a little origin story of Dragon Boat Festival. And I know you're thinking, what do these two have in common? Why are you linking these two? And I'll tell you why. Because, well, this year they're both on June 19th, but also they're both holidays, American and Chinese, that are coming out of a very distressing, sad, terrible time and having kind of a joyous celebration, both centered a little bit around food, my theory. And so that's why I have a Juneteenth dragon boat angle.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want me to go through a little bit more of the history of Juneteenth, the U.S. version?
Yes, go right ahead. Yes.
Okay. So officially, it marks that on June 19th, 1865, is when Union troops made it to Galveston, Texas, and announced that enslaved people there were free. More than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had happened. Now, I do want to clarify the Emancipation Proclamation did not free slaves in states that remained part of the Union at first. It was only for those that were seceding from the Union, which Texas was one of them. Okay.
Oh.
It did come to pass that it was for everyone, but in its when it was originally announced, it was a wartime thing, and it was meant as a start. Those who were being enslaved in states that had seceded from the Union would not be considered slaves once, like, the Union troops came in and were there. That gave them the opportunity to employ them for the army.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So, okay, Juneteenth began as a celebration of freedom among formerly enslaved Black Americans in Texas, and it grew into a wider commemoration of emancipation in the United States, which is what it has come to mean now. But I gave a little bit of this, but President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. But
Mhm.
freedom did not reach all those who were under its auspices until after the war. But freedom did not reach all enslaved people immediately because Confederates controlled areas, including Texas, remained outside effective Union control. On
Yes.
June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger read General Order Number 3 in
Mhm.
Galveston, informing people that all slaves are free. That day became known as Juneteenth, Freedom Day or Emancipation Day. The first Juneteenth observance was in 1866, so just the year after. And it was rooted at the time in church gatherings, prayer, music, storytelling, and community celebration. So in Texas, the holiday also became a way to teach newly freed people about civic rights and to build community after emancipation. Over time, Black families and communities kept the tradition alive, even when it was not widely recognized nationally, which I I was always in an American school system. It might have been with the military, but I was always within an American school system. So it wasn't international, it was American, as in United States based. Never once in my first, what is it, 12, 13 actually years of school. Actually, I went to preschool too. So whatever number of years, never once did I hear about Juneteenth.
I
Now I never
never
lived,
heard of it.
yeah, I'd never lived in Texas, so maybe that's why. But when we talk about not widely acknowledged, like, definitely not widely acknowledged because there were bases in Texas. So even if, like, I'm not getting this education because I'm not in Texas, people would be based there and then go someplace else. So this wasn't being shared generally. And it could be that African Americans, that Black Americans just wanted to keep it as something that was theirs for a period of time. I don't know. I'm thinking that it was racist why it wasn't shared.
Hmm.
Anyways, Juneteenth spread beyond Texas as Black Americans migrated across the country in the 20th century. But Texas did become the first state to make an official holiday in 1980. Again, never lived in Texas, so I did not know. It was later recognized in 2021 as Juneteenth National Independence Day. Anyways, it is a historical reminder that legal freedom and real freedom can arrive at different times, especially when enforcement lags behind the law. Or I want to note, or when enforcement is removed. Because when you had Reconstruction, you actually had a level of, I don't want to say equality, but a level of participation in our governmental systems by Black Americans that I don't know that we have come to see even to this day. Not because they're not interested, but because of the way that lack of enforcement has meant that things were gerrymandered and controlled in such ways that they weren't able to participate at the same levels. So it can arrive at different times, especially when enforcement lags behind the law. Today, it is widely observed as a day of reflection, celebration, education about slavery, emancipation, and Black history here in the United States. We're not in school anymore, so we would see it social media, maybe the news, but I can honestly tell you that I've only ever really seen it via social media groups and in conjunction with getting to know African Americans who were celebrating it. I've never seen this, even in 2021 when it was made a holiday. I don't think I've ever seen it generally celebrated or acknowledged.
No,
And
I mean, I don't know anything about it, to be honest. I mean, other than what I read up on today. And your that part about Texas I thought was really interesting. So I dug further into that as to why it took 2.5 years for Texas to
yeah.
hear about it. And evidently, there because in the South during the war, it was it was buffered by other states against the Union. And so these plantation people, owners would take their slaves from wherever they were, Mississippi, Arkansas, whatever, Alabama, and they would bring them over the border into Texas. So there was a huge influx of slaves in Texas because they would like stashing them away in Texas so that the Union couldn't get their hands on them.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about the ins and outs of Civil War, but I thought that was a very interesting. And that's why it took so long for the Union to come in 1865. Amazing.
It is. I do wanna highlight, somebody who helped make it a national holiday, but
Hmm.
before I do that, the Civil War in the United States was something that devastated, but there is a whole contingent of people who like to speak as if it was a question of states' rights. It wasn't.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
The war was fought because people did not want to lose other human beings being considered their property. They didn't wanna lose money. It's sorta like when you
Exactly.
have
Yeah,
a
it was.
billionaire who doesn't wanna be taxed, so they're gonna go
Yeah.
hide it someplace else, and they think, "Oh, but this is just me holding on to my money." Well, that's kinda how these people thought of other human beings.
Yep. Yep.
So, I just wanna make it really clear that there's plenty of people who like to talk as if the Civil War in the United States had some other legal reason. No. And if you go to civil rights scholars, they're gonna have to correct you on that. So, I needed to make that comment
Right.
because it supports this concept that they had of like, "Hey, we'll move our people." I have to call them people, not how they thought about them, "over here so they don't hear about this, and then we'll move them back and make them keep doing what they've been doing." And even
Well,
after
yeah, they had to protect what they saw as the foundation of their fortune. So, they'll
and
do anything to do that.
and even after it changed, when you look at the sharecropping or when you look at US prisons, the United States still has slavery when it comes to our prisons and an inherently racist system of
Well, I think it's back to what you said between there's a big difference between a law and
mhm,
then the
and enforcement.
actual implementation and the achievement of those freedoms. There's so much political, economic, social crap you have to dig yourself out of. Um, I read this very interesting article in on JSTOR about Juneteenth and how it's been viewed over the years, written by a researcher. She's a PhD from Texas. She studied in Texas. And she was saying that, at the beginning it was quite jubilant. I think even called Jubilee Day at
Yeah,
some point. Lots of parties and then it just kind of died down and around. the turn of the century, so like 19s through World War One, it was downplayed quite a bit, and it was seen as almost unpatriotic, um, for whatever was happening at the time with the war. Around World War II, it was slowly starting to gain a little bit more traction again. And then it was the civil rights movement. But like you said, there was segregation, the civil rights movement. There's a lot happening socially, economic, politically with African Americans in America. And the perception of Juneteenth evidently went up and down with those waves. And then it was finally, here we are. I mean, it's not achieved complete, but they got it as a holiday. I thought it was an interesting reaction to this holiday that they've been celebrating for 150 years or so. That how many people know what it is? It's
I
amazing to me.
it it boggles the mind. But to your
Yeah.
point about the fact that it's finally recognized as a federal holiday, I'm gonna give some credit to Opal Lee. She was a
Hmm.
grassroots she was the grassroots face. So in no way am I suggesting that Ms. Lee is taking credit for all this. I'm looking up what others are saying. So she was the grassroots face of a campaign to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. She helped turn it from a long respected Black community observance into a national cause by organizing, speaking publicly, and mobilizing signatures and attention for Congress and the White House.
Hmm.
So in 2016, she was 89 years old
Wow.
when she launched a symbolic walking tour campaign
Yeah.
from Fort Worth toward Washington, D.C., with 2.5-mile segments representing the 2.5 years it took for news of emancipation to reach
Yes.
enslaved people in Texas,
I like how she did that. It's quite cool.
right?
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
advocacy kept Juneteenth in the public eye for years. Again, I had never heard about this until Katie said, "Hey, let's explore." And I mean, I knew of Juneteenth. I knew what it,
Yeah, I
it
heard the
was, but
word.
well, and I knew that it was related to when the
Oh, well.
news of essentially the emancipation of Black
Oh, well,
population
you're ahead of
made it
me.
to Galveston. I knew that part, but Ms. Lee, I didn't know, and I was actually working in 2016 in political
Mm.
efforts.
Mhm.
So this is why I'm a little shocked that I'm like, did I just was I so focused in New York? Did I just not? Anyways,
Mm.
her advocacy kept Juneteenth in the public eye for years, building momentum before Congress acted in 2021. When President Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act in June of that year, Lee was present at the White House and recognized for her role in the
Oh,
movement.
okay.
She is often called the grandmother of Juneteenth because her work
Mm.
linked historical remembrance with modern activism. Her
Mm.
campaign showed how sustained local organizing, something I very much admire, can
Mhm.
help shape national policy,
Mm.
especially for a holiday that had been celebrated for generations before federal recognition. So
Mm.
I really wanted to acknowledge Ms. Lee, but also to acknowledge the work that her and other activists put in to make this a federal holiday. And I don't know, I know that it's a day off for some people, but there's so many of our days off that I would love to see as activism days. Whether it is on Juneteenth, you learn the history of, I don't know, some law that's not being enforced. Maybe on Martin Luther King Day, you learn how you can contribute to your community. Memorial Day, you actually look at how you can collectively work with others to improve something in your community.
You gotta tie everything to food. I am telling you, I am just banging on about this. But
You
and I will tell you how Juneteenth does use food, by the
okay.
way, because they focus on red foods. And I am
Mm,
wearing red. This is the closest thing I have to red stripes in honor of Juneteenth.
I want
So
y'all to take a note of how many different striped shirts Katie's have.
I have quite
Katie
a
has.
few. Thank you. Um, red foods. So it's like red velvet cake, watermelon, red soda. There's barbecue in there as well, and hibiscus
Tea.
drinks, which FYI I cannot consume, but
What?
hibiscus and cola nuts. So those two, hibiscus and cola nuts, actually from Africa. So it symbolizes the continuity of the foods. Um, yeah, so it's West African tradition. They said possibly that's the link, but yeah, red.
I love hibiscus drinks. You can't drink hibiscus?
I cannot. So I get terrible cramping from hibiscus, and
Oh,
I've
wow.
tried twice, separate occasions, to consume hibiscus tea, and I did not react well. It was just painful.
Wow, it's
My body
probably
is anti hibiscus.
it's one of my favorite herbal teas.
Really?
Mhm. Love hibiscus tea.
Something must be wrong with my insides. Doesn't
It
like it.
could be, but remember we discussed our DNA connections. I do have a DNA connection to even parts of West Africa, so it's possible I got those snippets
True.
that make hibiscus good for
Mhm.
me, and you
True.
have no modern connections because 'cause we're all connected to the African subcontinent if you go back far enough, but you have no more modern connections to it,
No,
like, within the last 500 years, so
no, mostly
could be
northern.
could be your body just does not process it.
Alas, I do not. So
So,
yeah, red foods. Because it symbolizes resilience, bloodshed, but resilient.
I love the idea of food. I like
Mhm,
the doing something for community and then
mhm.
eating in community.
Oh, yes.
Whether that's your family or whether that's a little bit broader, I'm not opposed to the food component at all. I
That's
like
the
it.
glue.
It is. So, you were gonna tie the dragon boats.
Yes, I was going to. You're welcome, everybody. Dragon Boat Festival. This year, it is on June 19th, as I said, but it does change year to year because it follows the lunar calendar. So it's on the fifth day of the fifth month of the lunar calendar. So it does change. Now, here's our origin story. Once upon a time, there was a poet and statesman living in China, and his name was Ku Yuan in the third century BC, long time ago. So he used to work under the Chu dynasty, and he was super loyal and super patriotic to the Chu dynasty. And he was very anti the Qi dynasty, who were trying to come in and take over. And I think there was a little bit of court intrigue. So he had some rivals there, as it happens in palaces. And they said slanderous things about him, and the emperor started to question Ku Yuan's loyalty and exiled him. He said, go away. And so poor Ku Yuan had to retreat and he started writing poetry. So he's actually quite a famous poet in China. And he's lamenting all this bad stuff that's happened to him and how much he loves his emperor and empire, whatever. Finally, alas, the Chu dynasty fell. And in comes the Qi dynasty. And he was so distraught that he threw himself into the Yangtze River and he died. So, you're asking, what does this have to do with dragon boats? Well, I'm going to tell you because there is his body floating around in the river. And the villagers were like, holy crap, we've got to go save his body. So they got on their boats and they went zipping over. And to stop the little fishies from eating this man's body, they threw little rice cakes down into the water. And then they hauled his body back to shore.
Okay.
This is a massive holiday in China.
I guess my face more about I didn't realize fishies ate rice cakes, but okay. I'm following. I'm following.
I was distressed to hear that little fishies were eating human bodies, but I suppose
Oh, that I
that's
knew.
fair enough. Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, food is food. But
Yeah.
I guess
You need
it's
to clean up the
distracting when
mess.
you're getting attacked by rice cakes. You can't get to the body, maybe something like that. Yeah. So
Okay. I can see the rice cakes being distracting. All right.
this is a big holiday in China, and he represents loyalty. So he sort of embodies loyalty and patriotism. There's a few interesting themes going on because you might say, dragons, why dragons? And the answer to that is the dragon boats would have modern day, they hold boat races. And so they dragons onto the boat. So dragons have multiple symbolism. So one is they are water deities. So they're associated with rivers. They're also associated with being a bringer of rain, which is
Mm,
important for crops. And they're also a symbol of the emperor and strength and prosperity. So it's very appropriate in this situation. And also the 5th month of the 5th day, well, obviously it's summer. So hello, we are in a heat wave at the moment where I am, and it's very hot. It's a very inauspicious time in China because disease tends to grow with heat. And so the idea is all this noise with on the river with the rowing and whatever noise is being made would drive away the evil spirits and misfortune. And so that's also a positive of this event. But yeah, so that is the holiday, and they're both kind
okay.
of rooted in this tragedy, but they're being these holidays, Juneteenth and Dragon Boat. Yes, quite disparate events. I'm going to give you that. Both are celebratory from the
Well,
root of tragedy. Oh, I like that.
back to your theme, though. Other
Oh,
than
yeah.
rice cakes, what
Hmm.
is the foods associated?
Well, it's a specific rice cake called zhongji. I bet you've seen them. I think they're wrapped in this like a leaf, and they can be mixed with eggs and nuts and meat and stuff like that. They're quite hearty. It's like a sticky rice. That's the main food because that's what was thrown to distract the fish. Then otherwise, they've got the dragon boats, and then the kids wear sort of perfumed sachets against misfortune and evil and sickness kind of thing.
Something else that struck me was that you were talking about the dragons being associated with rivers and rain.
Mm.
But, like, normally when I think of dragons, I think of their fire breathing
I
aspect.
know, me too. But do
So
you remember? Did you see that Marvel movie with the Chinese one, The
mhm.
Rings? Not the Marvel.
Yeah,
It's not a Marvel. Is
yeah.
it a Marvel? That dragon. It's a water dragon
Well, part of the
because they
reason
were in the
I'm
lake.
really I that's my symbol.
Oh,
I'm a water I'm a water rat, but my nephew is a water dragon.
is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
he just graduated from 8th grade, but he's a water dragon. So we're both water, but it was the thing that I was like, "Oh, I understand rats and water." I hadn't associated the dragons with water. The other thing is, do you remember when we lived in Seattle? They had dragon boat races, but I don't know if it follows this like, it was a
must
big
do.
deal. Like, they had whole
I bet
teams.
it was this for this. I
Yeah,
bet.
they had whole teams, they painted the boats, it was really
I,
beautiful, and they went on the Green River.
oh, it would have been for this then, probably.
I think it was the Green
Yes.
River, but yeah, they
But
had
you're
dragon
right. I think in the West, dragon is very fire focused. And for example, Lord of the Rings, where is the dragon ever near water? I mean, like, no. But I think in China it is water. Well, obviously I just read it isn't. But even that movie had, Michelle Yeoh was in it. Hello. Um,
She's in all the good ones.
yeah, hello. So that dragon was a lake dragon. I don't know why dragons are watery. I don't understand
That
that
is
either.
research for another day, but I just thought I'd ask you just in case it had popped up, because I found that really, um,
That is
like,
interesting.
water is the other thing is with my astrology stuff, Cancer ascendant, Cancer Venus, Cancer Mars, it's all water.
What are the qualities of the water dragon, your nephew,
I would
dragons?
have to go back and well, dragons, again, they're known for activating things, for moving things forward,
Mm,
for, like
mhm.
there is an aspect of abundance associated with them,
Yes.
which I can see being associated with water as well, but it's normally the way it's described is sort of a little bit in the West, like you might describe Jupiter, where it, like,
Uh,
magnifies stuff.
okay.
Kind of thing. So, like, a lot of times the and again, this is me piecing together bits and pieces, so I cannot quote where exactly this came from. I do have a book, I can go look up some other stuff, and we can discuss it another time, but the dragon, the way I've heard it described, has that go-getter active energy that normally in Western astrology is oftentimes associated with fire signs. So that was the other thing. The water element, which I do think holds consistent, is there's an empathy component and feeling component associated with
Mhm.
water. So whenever you have water involved, I think in both, like, cosmologies, there is that aspect of connection, of nurturance and empathy. And it was
I
fascinating.
wonder what other cosmologies have dragons in it.
Yeah, I know that
I don't
when you
know.
it's interesting what is often called a dragon in some of the West is called a wyvern for some,
Oh, yeah.
or what is described as a dragon in China with, like, the feet
Mhm.
kind of thing where they have 4 rather than 2 and, like, long tail kind of thing is sometimes called a wyvern, but I don't know.
That
I don't
look
know.
sounds Welsh.
It is.
Oh.
It is a Welsh word.
Oh,
I
because George
George and the
defeated
Dragon.
the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah,
Um,
when you first mentioned dragon races, I was like, "Oh, I wonder if she's gonna mention the ones that took place in Seattle." Because
no.
again, I just knew it as a fun competition that people would practice for, like, months to, like, compete in.
Now, it's about sad poet Ku Yuan who threw himself into the water.
Wow.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think I hearken a bit to celebrations of resilience.
Well, I mean, Dragon Boat Festival is loyalty, patriotism.
I like being the villager, one of the villagers who's, like, pulling this dude out so his body's not getting eaten by the fishies.
Flinging the rice cakes at these
Flinging the rice
fishies.
cakes. Flinging
The
the rice
fishies
cakes.
are kind of the bad guy. Yeah. I mean,
But
I
the
was
fishies are
kinda
just
like,
doing what fishies do.
yeah. I mean, I was kinda like, "Why did he throw himself into this water? Why didn't he just hang in there?" But I guess I don't know. Maybe he would have been killed by the new regime. I don't really know.
Maybe.
He wrote a lot of poems, like, very famous, evidently.
And I might love his poems. I don't know. I've
You know, maybe
never
I
read
should
one.
have downloaded one and I could have read one
I
for
wonder
all
if
of
he's a
us.
bit like Rumi.
Yeah, well, we won't never know because I didn't download it.
Or maybe somebody who watches this one will share their knowledge
Oh, yeah.
of this famous poet, or
Mm.
maybe just share where we can find out more information. Because the one thing I think both Katie and I will acknowledge is that we do not pretend to know
Well,
everything.
Clearly.
clearly.
We
And
very
we
obviously don't know everything.
and we
We're very
often go
public.
searching for additional information
Yeah.
just to be able to share and be
Yeah,
able to, like
sometimes on camera.
yes, I often do it on camera. Yeah. Um, just to see if we can find out more and learn something else. So,
Yes.
if you know something or just where we could find out more information, we greatly appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yes, also, I have a request about the dragon thing because I think now that you highlighted it, I'm even more intrigued now why the dragon in Chinese cosmology is water-based. Are they from the ocean? Like, are they from water? Is that where they live? Or I don't, because I have two such different visions of dragons now in my head. Lord of the Rings and
I don't ever think of the I know there's dragons there,
the
but I don't
Marvel
ever think of
movies.
dragons from Lord of the Rings.
The Hobbit. The Hobbit.
I'm sure there's a dragon. I'm just saying I don't ever think
How
about
do
it
you not
when
know there's no dragon? Did you watch the movies? Did you read the books?
I read the book when I was, like,
You
in
don't remember the
8th grade.
dragon? Oh,
No, I
have
do
you
not
not
remember the
watched
dragon.
the movies like 20 times like me?
Definitely not watched 20
Oh,
times. I watched
all
them
right,
barely
fine.
once and was somewhat bored.
Blasphemy. There's a new one coming out. They're doing another
Mhm.
one. Hunt, Search for Schmeagle or something like
Yeah,
that.
and there's also a show on Prime, I think.
Oh, okay. That is not fantastic.
I haven't seen it. I've had no interest.
Different different characters, different time. It's uh,
I think my more recent association with dragons is actually the Harry Potter books. Again,
is
not to
there a
give
dragon?
credit to a yeah. They escape when they rob the bank to get Gryffindor's sword, they escape on the dragon that's guarding the hoard.
You're the
Man,
second person who gives me these Harry Potter references. This happened yesterday too. And I'm just like, what are you I don't well, first, I don't know because I'm not conversant in Harry Potter. But your examples are so specific
there's also
that I
Charlie Weasley, who is a dragon trainer. And in the 4th
now
book,
see here. Now
when
you've
Harry
opened the
Potter is part of the
floodgates. Now
Triwizard
it's like Harry
Tournament, he
Potter.
actually has to
This is
um,
coming from the person who didn't you used to dress up and go to these movies? Okay.
I didn't dress up for the movies. I actually
Fanatic.
dressed up before I know it was the 5th book was rough, but, um
The
was it the 5th
fifth
or the
book
4th book? I
was
think it was
rough.
it might have been the 4th book. I dressed up
What do you
to
mean
stand
rough?
in it's
Like not good?
it's not that it's not good, it's just you're y you're reading this from his point of view, and he's a
Harry.
15-year-old who's being pursued by a
Oh,
homicidal maniac, and he's going through, like,
puberty.
a bunch of shit. Like, it's just a downer.
Oh, well, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by rough, is
Okay.
I've only read it once and have no desire to read it again. No, I stood in line, I believe, in Times Square to get the 4th book, and we dressed in the robes.
Yeah, I recall you dressed up for some reason.
Yeah, it was fun,
Um, I'm sure it
but
was.
I like the fandom. Um, I like what some of the actors who were in the movies have come out and said and are doing. Like, right now, the guy who played Draco Malfoy in the movies is playing Draco Malfoy on Broadway in
Oh,
The Cursed
really?
Child.
Wow, he
Or he
cannot
was recently,
escape.
I don't know if he's still doing it. And then Daniel Radcliffe was actually on Broadway
Yes,
not too
didn't
long
he
ago.
get a Tony or something? Like he did really well. Something, I think he got an award or something.
Yeah, could be. Totally. So, some of the people and
That
then
that actor character of there's 3 friends, right?
Mhm.
Harry, girl,
Harry,
and
Hermione,
redhead.
and Ron Weasley. Yeah.
Ron, redhead. I've
Yes.
seen him in a few things on TV, and he is bloody good. Like,
Yes.
I was really skeptical when I saw him in, there was something on HBO about, like, a psycho nanny.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan, maybe M. Night Shyamalan show, and I thought, "Oh my god, that Harry Potter kid is in it. He is good." I was very
Yes.
impressed.
If you wanna be impressed, though, I mean, I'm impressed by the guys and their acting, but Emma Watson has actually done some amazing work with the United Nations in advocacy for women, and I am not versed in everything that she does, but I've really admired the fact that she has gone even beyond the acting
Mm.
component, looking at other ways that of utilizing this insane fame that these guys had
Oh,
to
yeah, very
support
crazy.
things, so, I thought that was
Wasn't
pretty.
she in Beauty and the Beast?
She was, with
I
the
think
guy
that
from
was
Downton Abbey.
well received, wasn't it? Beauty
Mhm.
and the Beast.
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
she was also in another movie, something Wallflower? I don't know, something to
I
do
don't
with
know.
mental illness in college. I've never seen the movie, but she's been in a few things. I haven't seen recently. I don't follow them that it's like what comes up because I follow Harry Potter things, though I follow a bit more the fan fiction realm rather than the movies or there's a new series coming out where we will actually get to see things not just from Harry's point of view. So the movies, like the books, were from Harry's point of view.
Yeah.
But at least what I read or saw in the social media is that the series, it's an HBO series, will present things from other character points of view. And one of the reasons that we learn that is that we've never seen the girls' dorm because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
Harry's point of view. He couldn't go in the girls' dorm. We will now get to see some things from Hermione's point of view.
So are they gonna still have these 3?
No, it's young actors.
Oh, so different storyline,
3,
but
yeah.
same
It's this it's
Dumbledore,
this
whatever.
it's this Dumbledore.
Whatever,
Dumbledore.
what is their school's name? No, that's the
Hogwarts.
teacher's name.
That's its
Yes!
name. Hogwarts, Dumbledore is the headmaster.
That's right, that's a guy.
Hogwarts is the school, but, it is a retelling of the same story,
Oh,
but you'll see different points of view, is
are
my
they playing
understanding.
Harry and
They've been
Hermione?
cast. Harry,
So
Hermione,
it's the same people. I
Ron.
mean, characters.
Yes, same characters.
Oh, so
Now
they're
there's
kinda
some.
remaking it.
Yes, they're remaking it, but as a series rather than a movie.
Oh,
So there's probably
gotcha.
more from the books that'll be able to make it in, because when you make a movie out of, some a number of those like, the early books are shorter, but when you get to books 4, 5, 6, and 7, they're, I think, all over 1,000 pages. It is hard to include all of that in a movie.
Holy
You have to,
moly.
narrow it down. So, the
How many
series,
books are there?
7 books, 8 movies. They divided the
Wow.
last book
Oh,
into 2
yes, that's
movies.
right.
But in order to include more, you can do that more when you do a series.
Interesting.
Yeah. But there's so many
I'm
other stories to
surprised.
tell.
I'm surprised they haven't done that before because it was so popular. There's such a following.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people who are not very who don't want to go and see any of the stuff that came out of it, people who are real fans of the books because of the political stance of the author. And she makes money
Oh,
off of things like a new series, off of the, Universal, off of all different kinds of things, and she uses that money in ways that aren't safe for a whole group of people,
Uh,
and it's sad, which
yeah.
is why I keep saying that I'm a little bit more into, like, I like the people who do fan fiction. So they don't make money off the fan fiction. They write it, it's for
Yeah,
free,
yeah.
read it. Uh, they're doing it because they're interested, but I kind of really like those folks because
Mhm.
at least the ones who I've seen take a stance, their stance has been in support of transgender people.
Because this lady who wrote Harry Potter is against trans.
Yeah, that's on record. Like, you can go and see what she donates to and how she's doubled and tripled down on
Really?
being against trans, yeah.
Why, is she
At
like a
least
religious person?
not to my
Not
knowledge.
not to say religious people are not
I've
are
never
intolerant, but I don't know why she would be like, I mean, she's an artist, basically. A writer is an artist. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never taken the time
Mm,
to track down, read any of her justifications just because
yeah,
I have
I
a
mean,
hard time with anything that I'm like,
yeah,
what somebody else chooses not even chooses, what who somebody else is very if it's not hurting me, I'm like, why would you donate money to causes that
yeah,
look to prevent people from being who they are?
yeah. Weird.
So, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
I'm talking about this, but from the point of view of, like, having been a fan before all that stuff
Uh,
came to light.
yes.
And I will just note, I don't know, I it may not be true, but my first fandom, which we've discussed before, was Star Wars.
Oh,
It came at
yes.
number 5, love Star Wars. Well, one of my favorite memes regarding Harry Potter is that the author didn't write a brand new story, which Joseph Campbell often talks about the fact that none of these stories are necessarily brand new. But somebody said, and I don't know who said it, that she wrote Star Wars with sucky lightsabers, wands, instead of lightsabers. Because
Mm,
you have the super smart gal who ends up falling for the scruffy comic relief,
mhm.
um, and is like a sister to the main character. You have a super evil dark dude who's out there wreaking havoc, and you have an old
Yeah.
wise one, who ends up dying before the final acts. So those were just a few of the
Yeah,
touch.
that's true, actually.
It is, and so I'm sure a scholar of myth might say that, oh, but before Star Wars, that story was so and so. So I'm like, I'm not pretending that it didn't exist before. Just saying that I could see my progression from loving Star Wars to
Yeah, 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 yeah.
loving Harry Potter because it's a similar type of story. You have the kid who's grown up with a horrible aunt and uncle who've never told him about how
Yeah,
he's
but
special.
Luke had nice family.
Luke
That's
had what?
different. A nice
No, he didn't.
family.
No, he didn't.
Luke.
Luke didn't have a nice family. Luke had
What?
an uncle who wanted him to work on the moisture farm and wouldn't allow him to go out and do anything, told him nothing about his actual family. And
Yeah,
he
but I mean,
wasn't,
that's not being mean. That is to protect him.
all right, that might be somewhat different. I never really thought of I mean, his aunt was nice, which is
I
very
didn't
different
think
than
they
Harry.
were mean. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, Harry's aunt is mean in the way that Luke's
Oh,
aunt was never.
they're so mean, Harry Potters, whatever they were.
Yeah, very mean. And then, like, I don't remember who they related to Yoda, but somebody was related to Yoda. Uh, it was a meme. It did not go on and analyze the whole thing. Like, it would be interesting if somebody actually did a literature and
I bet you
analysis,
someone has analyzed it already. I bet
probably,
you.
right? Somebody has done a full-on analysis
If
of
we had a
the
minute, we could go find that paper. I bet.
there's so many other things. We're supposed to be looking up why dragons
I know,
are
there's so
like
many other things to look up. Oh, and the bloody poem, one of the poems, like, "Who
right?
You Want?" It's probably like 1,000 lines.
Like, Well, it's interesting because there were 7 books, and originally, I believe George Lucas had outlined 9 movies.
Really? Holy
They ended up
moly.
making 6 of them, George Lucas movies, but and actually the protagonist, like, the one we were supposed to follow was Anakin. Like, Anakin turning to the dark side, Anakin becoming Darth Vader,
Yeah,
Anakin's redemption.
I those were rough, to use your adjective. I did not enjoy those, what was it? 2 or 3 movies around Anakin, played by that guy with that
Christian?
stupid Jabba Jinx thing. I'm
Yes.
just the whole yes, I know. Ewan McGregor was in it, terrific. But
And his brother's Obi too. His brother's a fighter pilot, and his call sign instead of being Obi-Wan is
oh,
Obi-2.
really? I just that whole like 2 or 3 movies was so
Those are called
painful,
prequels.
so painful. What was going on there? What was the thought process in I mean, the story is fantastic. Like the whole idea, like you just said, of Anakin, we watch him turn, but the
Execution.
execution of it was so flawed. I mean, I can't even watch a reruns of that thing. It's so bad. And I like Natalie Portman. And, bless her. I'm sure she tried her best, but something was wrong, I think, with that guy. I did not like that actor guy. Was miscast. Something. Sorry.
You were not alone in that, though. I think he finally got, like, folks appreciating him. I'm trying to remember his name.
Something
Anyway.
Christensen,
Mhm.
some long name. And, well, I mean, I wish we could just go and delete that whole movie series and try again. Let's try again. Because it is a fantastic plot. My God. Rough.
Yeah, it is.
So rough. I had a chance to research 2 things.
Okay.
I have a poem by Ku Yuan.
Is this one of his really popular poems or
I don't really know
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm not Chinese, so I don't know what is, but evidently all his poems are very famous.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing because, you know, but I'll read the last 2 things of it. So here we go. In honor of Dragon Boat Festival, Ku Yuan. This is called While the Clouds Gather Beneath Me. The man in the mountain, fragrant with sweet herb, drinks from the rocky spring shaded by pines and firs. You, my lord, are thinking of me, and then you hesitate. The thunder rumbles and the rain darkens. The gibbons mourn, howling all the night. The wind whistles, and the trees are bare. I am thing of the young lord. I sorrow in vain. You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing beautiful poetry. I don't know
Now,
that I'm a huge
I don't really get it. I just have a hard time with poetry. Now, the other thing I looked up was this difference between the European dragon and the Chinese dragon. And I just did a very quick search. Well, the main thing is obviously they both evolved completely separately. So the Chinese dragon is much older. It's from ancient times when everything was agrarian, agricultural, and dragons at that time represented a bringer forth of weather, rain to help. And conversely, for the Europeans, the dragon is fire breathing and is demonic. that's framed within this Christian paradigm. It's a being from hell. That's
Mm,
why. That's why.
okay.
So there you go. Once again, we've got our little Christian paradigm situation that we run up against every podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing. I will
Yep.
do our roundup.
Yep.
We've covered, we primarily covered Juneteenth and
Oh,
Dragon
yes.
Boat Festival, as they are both happening on June 19th of this year. They do not always coincide. We've also explored a few additional avenues in discussing some fandom elements, celebrations. We have doubled, if not tripled down on the fact that real holidays require food. Um, Katie cannot do hibiscus.
No.
And neither of us is a true poetry person.
No, not really.
There's the occasional words that we like or phrase, but we're not, I don't know if fans is the right term.
No.
Aficionados? We're not aficionados
Exactly.
of
Exactly.
poetry. But again, we are often willing to learn.
Hmm.
The other thing I think we also came to further additional agreement on is just that the Christian phrasing or scaffolding placed around numerous things that we come across often causes us some difficulty, if not agita. We will leave you with make sure to find your red velvet cake, to do a
Mm.
little bit of uplifting and celebration, and
Yep.
check to see if your particular community or somewhere nearby has a
Mm.
dragon boat festival that you might be able to go and
Yeah.
witness.
Yeah. It's a good
Thank you for
idea.
joining us.
Thank you.